Hey Transphobia viewers, happy Saturday. I'm Zach, and this week we are talking about Glee. Before I talk about Glee though, I'm wearing my Bob Ross painting shirt today. I fucking love the joy of painting and Bob Ross. My mother got me this shirt for Christmas, and it makes me happy. I just thought I'd share that all with you, because I feel like it's something we really need to express with one another. But anyways, on to non-Bob Ross joy of painting related topics. Like I said, this week we are talking about Glee. I was the one that suggested this topic because I have a very, very distinct love-hate relationship with Glee. On the one hand, I love the characters. I feel like they're really interesting. For the most part, pretty well developed high school characters, which if you compare it to shows like, I don't know, like fucking 90210 or like even Degrassi, which has like a huge, huge cast, but they kind of all end up being like these archetypes and they don't really get anywhere with anything. With Glee, I really feel like they've created a lot of characters that are really interesting and could have very interesting storylines, but the writers are just so awful that they kind of forgot that they had good characters to begin with. I love all the characters, I love all the actors, I think they're all really, really great, and the little songs they sing make me happy for the most part. Except for those stupid original songs. Does anyone actually like those songs? Because they all suck. Especially like the ones from the finale episode. No fucking wonder they lost. Because first of all, they fucking wrote them the day before. Second of all, they fucking sucked. So guess what? That's what they get. They deserve not to win. I hate the writers. The writers are awful. And until roughly 2 months ago, the show only had 3 writers, which is insane. Most shows, even like half-hour sitcoms, have full writing teams of at least like 10 to 12 people. The fact that Glee only had 3 writers, and that all 3 writers also, directed, they also produced, they also did a billion other things, made last season in particular really, really awful. Like, no character was written consistently. Everything became like a fucking after-school special, like even worse than the first season, and I don't know, it just made me angry that the show, like, because I've been watching it since the first episode aired, like in May 2009 or whatever, and I was really intrigued by it, and it had a lot of potential, and the first 13 episodes were really good. They were like a dark comedy, there was a lot of interesting things going on, and then it got really, really popular, and I feel like the writers started catering more to Twitter trending topics than to what was actually true to any of the characters. Which is unfortunate because it's really doing a huge disservice to the show they created and, honestly to the people that watch it. Because, yeah, there's the little 12-year-old girls that really, really, really want Finn and Rachel to be together, but is that really, like, good for their characters anymore? Or even, like, good for the actors? Like, let them act with other people. Because they have more chemistry with other people. So, yeah, in a general sense, that's the hate portion of the relationship. To actually turn this around and talk about, actually connect this to being trans and being queer. For a show that has more queer characters on it than I think any other I can think of off the top of my head, at least on network television, and for a show that had incredibly long storylines about bullying the gay kid, and one that always preaches acceptance and love everyone and we're unique and let's band together because we're a band of lovable misfits or whatever. The problem with that is at the same time they're doing all those things, they've made they've used the word tranny multiple times. Once in the first 13 episodes, Quinn called Rachel a tranny, I think, and then in the Rocky Horror Picture episode of all fucking episodes, Mike Chang, the little dancer kid that I really like, popped in and was like, hey, my parents don't want me to dress like a tranny, I can't do the show, or whatever. And then, in the same episode, the same Rocky Horror episode, they have the fucking balls to take out I'm a sweet transvestite from transsexual Transylvania. They took out transsexual and put in sensational. Like, fucking really? You can say tranny, but you have to cut out transsexual from the fucking song? Like, it's absolutely ridiculous, because that song is probably like the highlight and kind of encompasses everything about that show, and to fucking gut it like that is just absurd. And really, the fact that the writers are so unapologetic in their use of transphobic and cissexist language, that I really have a hard, I really cannot believe that, not even GLAAD has been up their asses about this. Take the Kurt storyline, for example. If you watch the show, little gay kid, Kurt, he was bullied fairly heavily throughout last season. It was a very long, very serious story arc. One that I think, was necessary in some ways, but I think a lot of the ways in which they went about it were wrong. The fact that Kurt's bullying was taken seriously, and the fact that, Rachel, who was bullied just as much as he is, except she was bullied because people think she's annoying and not because she's gay or whatever, she's harassed constantly. But that's played for a joke, while Kurt's bullying is taken seriously, and he had to transfer to another school, and he transferred back, and there was this whole big thing. Like, what is that? If you're gonna take bullying seriously, take it seriously for all the characters that get bullied, because that's bullshit otherwise. The fact that Rachel has been called a tranny, she's been called RuPaul, she's been called man-hands, she's been called, treasure trail, I think that was one of them. All of these terms to try to masculinize her and try to call her a, cross-dressing man or something, really, that's okay? We can totally, that's humor, that's funny. But if you bully the gay kid, that's a really big deal. We need 27 after-school special episodes about it. I'm not saying that Kurt's bullying should have been played for laughs, but what I'm saying is that Rachel's bullying, or anyone else on the show who's bullied, that shouldn't be played for laughs while Kurt's is taken seriously. I think that's really hypocritical and dangerous. And also, for a show that's all yay gay, what about the Born This Way episode, where they did Born This Way, and who said it earlier this week? It was, I think, Chase, I don't remember, sorry. They took out the part, the gay, straight, or bi, lesbian, transgender life part, but they kept in the racist part, the part with says Chola and Oriental, which Lady Gaga does not have the right to reappropriate those terms at all, but they kept that in, took out the gay part. Does that make sense to anyone else? Doesn't fucking make sense to me. As for the other queer characters on the show, we have Brittany and Santana, who, I love Brittany and Santana, individually, together, whatever, I don't really care, they could do whatever the fuck they want. But again, it's another matter of the writers being condescending and erasing identities. Believe it or not, writers, bisexuality and pansexuality exist. People identify as those things, and it doesn't mean they're, on a stopover to being fully gay, or it doesn't make them any less legitimate as people. It doesn't make them stupid teenagers if they identify as bi or as pansexual. I can't deal with it. And also, we have Brittany, who, during one of the storylines this season, dated wheelchair kid Artie, and was also in love with Santana, and they kind of play it off as she's just stupid and childish, and not that she could legitimately identify as polyamorous. Not that you would necessarily know what that word means, but it's totally okay for someone to want to be polyamorous. Of course, it has to be consensual with all other parties involved, but the fact that they're kind of not dealing with it, and she's just played off as this character with the mind of a 5-year-old, and she isn't taken seriously, and her identities aren't taken seriously, is also some bullshit. So, this says on my little thing that I've been talking for 11 minutes, so I'm gonna cut it off here because I don't want to waste anyone else's time. If anyone else has feelings on Glee or would like to argue with me on any of the points I made, please do so in the comments or or message me on my personal account. Because I really do like talking about this show. I feel like there's a lot of interesting things to talk about. So, until next week, hope everyone is doing well, and I'll see you then. Bye. Also, fuck Blaine.